After the grand success of the iQOO 7 series in India, iQOO is back yet again with another mid-range smartphone, and they're calling it the iQOO Z3 5G. Now this phone competes in a segment featuring some amazing smartphones, but the Realme X7 has to be one of its closest arch rivals. So this is the iQOO Z3 versus the Realme X7. Let's get started. A lot of you guys who watch our videos are still not subscribed to the channel, so go ahead guys, hit that red subscribe button and press the bell icon so that you don't miss any of our future videos. Kicking things off with the subjective topic, that is the design. Now both phones might appeal to different people, but if you ask me, I personally like the design of the iQOO Z3 better. My reasons being, I think the rear camera array looks sleek in this rectangular strip on the iQOO Z3. Even Realme has done a good job with the individually protruding lenses, but the iQOO Z3 definitely looks better on the rear. If you look at the side frames, which is plastic on both by the way, the iQOO's frame is slimmer, plus the company has given more attention to details. Simply look at the top and bottom of the iQOO Z3. Heck, how many phones do you know which can stand upright on their own? Moving on, for authentication, there's an in-display fingerprint sensor on the Realme X7, while the iQOO Z3 sports a side-mounted physical fingerprint sensor. Coming to the front, the bezel treatment looks almost the same to me, although you do get a punch hole on the Realme, while the iQOO gets a dewdrop notch, and frankly speaking, I haven't missed the notch. The hole punch, while slightly, does look better here. But otherwise, port selection is better on the iQOO Z3. You get a headphone jack and a hybrid SIM slot on the Z3, both of which are not present on the Realme X7. Front glass protection is handled by AGC Dragon Trail glass on the Realme X7 and Panda King glass on the iQOO Z3. For perspective, you can say they're almost as good as the Gorilla Glass 5. So build-wise, both phones are solid, although in terms of design, for me, iQOO Z3 looks better, and even the port selection, as I said, that is the expandable storage and the headphone jack, get a huge thumbs up. Now let's talk about the display, and making a pick here is very difficult. What would you rather have, a 60Hz AMOLED or a 120Hz LCD? Of course, display quality matters, and there's no denying that Super AMOLED screens offer better contrast, deep blacks and all the mumbo jumbo, but a display is not just for watching videos or playing games. A display is something with which you interact, and if it is smooth, the whole experience gets better. So the 120Hz refresh rate on the iQOO Z3 5G definitely makes a ton of difference for me. So what if I have to live with an LCD display over a Super AMOLED? And by the way, the LCD display on the iQOO Z3 is good, and yeah, it may not be as bright as Realme's Super AMOLED display, it is adequate enough to get the job done. And since this is an IPS panel, colors look great, plus the 120Hz coupled with FunTouch OS makes sure animations and transitions look good. Speaking of FunTouch OS, you get version 11.1 on the iQOO Z3 based on Android 11, while my Realme X7 ships a Realme UI 1.0 based on Android 10, and that is a bummer. But for a moment, Android versions aside, if you ask me, both FunTouch OS and Realme UI are pretty decent, and they come with their tricks of their own. For instance, the iQOO Z3 gives you dynamic effects that lets you customize animations for certain operations in the UI. As for the Realme, it has convenience tools that lets you have an assistive ball or a smart sidebar and things like that. Aesthetically, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with either of them. They look neat, they come with all the important features like a native screen recorder, Google Discover page, dark mode, eye comfort mode, etc. But otherwise, right now, the iQOO Z3 does have the advantage of having the latest Android version. Although RAM management is better on the iQOO Z3 and the virtual RAM concept definitely makes a difference, but the 8GB RAM on the Realme X7 also does a good job. Moving over to the specifications, the iQOO Z3 is powered by the latest Snapdragon 768G SoC and comes in two variants, 6GB RAM plus 128GB storage and 8GB RAM plus 256GB storage. I have the latter with me right now. The Realme X7 on the other hand is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 800U SoC, and it also comes in two different variants, that is 6GB RAM or 8GB RAM with 128GB of storage standard on both. And the iQOO Z3 features 3GB of virtual RAM, something that we have seen on the iQOO 7 series phones as well. First, let's take a look at some benchmarks. In Geekbench, the iQOO Z3 scored 18% better in single core, while multi-core performance was 14% better than the Realme X7. Even in AnTuTu, the iQOO Z3 scored 14% better overall than the Realme X7. And that's not all. In 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme Test, while both phones were able to push stable frame rates, iQOO Z3's average loop score was 15% better than the Realme X7. So how do these scores affect real-world performance? Keep watching. Well, general performance has been amazing on both, be it browsing the web, checking social media, chatting with guys, watching videos, etc. Both phones are able to handle general stuff with ease. However, when it comes to gaming, the iQOO Z3 5G definitely has an upper hand. First of all, let me show you the settings screen of Call of Duty Mobile on both the smartphones. The major bummer here is that you can't play Call of Duty Mobile at maximum frame rates on the Realme X7, something that the iQOO Z3 lets you at high graphic settings though, but it lets you. The best setting on the Realme X7 that you can achieve is medium graphics and high frame rates, which is not acceptable. So while I didn't face any lags or stutters on both phones while gaming, or for that matter, both phones have good thermal management as well even after playing games for long sessions, I can't deny that Call of Duty Mobile did look better and felt smoother on the iQOO Z3. In a nutshell, if you're looking for casual performance, then both phones are very capable handsets. But if you're looking for that extra grunt in gaming, then I think you'll be better off with the iQOO Z3 5G. Okay, in terms of connectivity, both phones are 5G ready, although Realme X7 does support more bands than the iQOO Z3. And yeah, both phones support carrier aggregation as well. In terms of battery life, I have already done a battery test featuring both the phones, so that video would be somewhere right here, and if you can't find it right here, then that video is yet to be uploaded. You can wait and come back later. Anyway, the iQOO Z3 features a 4400 mAh battery that can charge at 50 watt using the bundled charger versus a 4310 mAh battery on the Realme X7, which can also charge at 50 watt using the bundled charger. Of course, the Realme X7 with its 60Hz screen has an advantage in terms of having a longer battery life, but guys at iQOO have also done a good job with optimization. That is, the 4400 mAh cell with a 120Hz refresh rate should easily last you a day with medium to heavy usage. Of course, you can always switch to 60Hz refresh rate to increase the battery endurance, but when you have this amazing 120Hz refresh rate at your disposal, why would you want to switch to the 60Hz in the first place? I won't. Anyway, let's talk about the camera now. So both the iQOO Z3 and the Realme X7 feature a 64 megapixel main camera with EIS at the rear. This is the ISOCELL GW3 sensor in the iQOO and an unspecified Sony IMX sensor in the Realme. The main camera is accompanied by an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 2 megapixel macro lens on both. At the front is a 16 megapixel Samsung 3P9 sensor on the iQOO Z3, while the Realme X7 relies on a 16 megapixel Sony IMX 471 sensor for selfies. For taking stills, while both cameras perform decently well for mid-range smartphones, I found Realme's output to be better and consistent in comparison to the iQOO Z3. Be it outside in daylight or indoors, in most cases it was the Realme X7 that churned out better photos with rich colors and contrast. And while the dynamic range was kind of neck and neck on both, I think in dealing with highlights and shadows, once again the Realme did a better job. Even while clicking my own photos, be it from the rear camera or the front camera, I found the skin tones to look more natural in Realme's output. And for those wondering about portrait selfies, while both did a good job with edge detection and color reproduction, I will still give a slight edge to the Realme here for the more detailed output. As for the photos taken in dim lighting, well, don't expect much from both, but the Realme does take a less noisy output in comparison to the iQOO Z3. Now, the place where iQOO Z3 impressed me was video recording. See it for yourself in this 4K 30fps sample. The colors look more natural in iQOO's output versus the boosted tones in Realme's output. And even while both of the phones have EIS, I think iQOO does seem to do slightly better when it comes to stabilization. That said, considering these are mid-range smartphones, the stabilization is decent overall. Now, both phones also give an ultra stable or ultra steady mode, which crops into the main sensor to make the video look more stable. To be honest, I still found judders in the output, but of course, for this one at least, the colors in Realme's output looked toned down and much better. But yeah, the iQOO Z3 once again did better in my opinion. Finally, here's a 1080p 30fps sample, and once again it is totally your preference whether you like the boosted tones in Realme's output or you prefer the subdued but natural tones of the iQOO Z3. I prefer the latter, and even the stabilization for that matter, while ever so slightly, is better on the iQOO Z3. Now please take a look at this selfie video sample. Hello everyone, right now I'm shooting the 1080p 30fps video samples from the iQOO Z3 and the Realme X7. So see it for yourself, let me know which phone is doing a better job overall. In terms of field of view, I can definitely make out that the Realme X7 is wider when you shoot against the light. So this is how the output looks like when you shoot against the light. You can compare the output from both phones. Also, I'm walking right now, so you can make out which phone is doing a better job in terms of stabilization. And yeah, let me know in the comments which phone's audio output do you think so is better. So overall, this is how selfie videos look like taken from the iQOO Z3 and the Realme X7. Let me know in the comments which phone do you think so is the better one among the two. Cheers. So which one should you pick between the iQOO Z3 and the Realme X7? Let me make it simple for you. If you want one of the best-in-class Super AMOLED displays, even if it does have a 60Hz refresh rate, you're more of a casual user who wants to have a sleek and light device with good battery life, you want a camera that takes better stills and of course, which does have more 5G band support, I would say go for the Realme X7 5G. However, if you're like me who prefers a 120Hz panel, so what if it is an LCD, if you want better gaming performance, if you take a lot of videos, if you want the expandable storage and you still can't seem to give up on the headphone jack, I will strongly suggest going for the iQOO Z3 5G. And that's about it for the video, guys. Which phone among the two would you rather pick? Will it be the iQOO Z3 or will it be the Realme X7? Let me know in the comments. As always, for all the latest in tech, stay tuned to Mr. Phone. See you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.